5 most terrifying medieval torture devices. If time travel is ever invented, promise me you'll never go back to the Middle Ages. Bad things happened in the Middle Ages. One of the most violent periods in human history, the 1,000 years of the medieval period are defined by brutal kings and merciless crusades. Here's 5 torture devices that would make even Jigsaw shudder. Number 5. Breast Ripper. To start our diabolical countdown, here's one just for the ladies. The breast ripper, an instrument with 4 sharpened iron claws, was mainly used on women who were accused of adultery or self-abortion. The 4 claws were often heated to a scalding temperature before being applied to one of the woman's breasts, and then the torturer would slowly tear the breast off of the woman's chest. Worse still, in cases of adultery, the accused woman would be tortured in front of her own children. If the woman didn't die from blood loss, she would certainly be disfigured for the rest of her life. Number 4. The Pear of Anguish. Mostly used on prisoners accused of either lying, adultery, blasphemy or practicing homosexuality. Where the Pear of Anguish was inserted mostly depended upon the so-called crime. Liars and blasphemers would have the device forced into their throat. Lady adulterers would have it inserted into their vagina, whereas homosexuals would have it thrust into their anus. Once placed inside an orifice, a screw at the top of the pear was turned. The iron leaves of the device would splay open widely, causing great pain and internal damage to the victim. While the Pear of Anguish rarely resulted in death, it did cause permanent damage and was often followed by other methods of torture. Number 3. The Breaking Wheel. The breaking wheel was designed to execute people slowly and in the most painful possible way. First, the victim's limbs were broken so they fit through the spokes of the large wooden Catherine wheel. Then they were tied down to the wheel to prevent them from getting free. Once the victim was secured to the wooden frame, the wheel would be revolved in order for the executioner to smash their body with an iron hammer. Once their bones were broken, the prisoner was left to die on the wheel slowly, often hoisted up into the air so the birds could feed on their slowly dying corpse. It could often take more than 3 days for the prisoner to die of dehydration. Number 2. The Rack. The rack is one of the most infamous torture devices from the Middle Ages, and for good reason. The rack was a simple yet effective torture method that inflicted the full range of pain from mild discomfort to bloody death. The victim was placed on the wooden bench with their arms and legs tied to rollers at each end. The torturer would then turn a handle and the rollers would stretch the victim. As the rollers continued to turn, the victim's ligaments could often be heard to snap, their cartilage would pop, and their bones would break. The rack would also allow other tortures to be applied to the prone victim at the same time as being stretched. Pincers were often attached to the prisoner, tearing out their nails, or a fire was lit underneath them. Number 1. The Rat Cage. Many people find rats to be scary at the best of times. Now let me tell you how utterly horrific they were in the Middle Ages. The poor unfortunate victim of the rat cage would be stripped and tied down onto their back before a cage containing 1 or more rats was placed on top of their naked stomach. Then burning white hot coals were placed on top of the cage, causing the iron structure to heat up. Upon feeling the heat, the rats would scramble, trying to find a way out of the cage. Frenzied, the rats would start to dig at the victim's flesh. The torturer would continue to maintain the heat of the cage in order to frenzy the rats further. Over the course of hours, the little demons would burrow their way into the victim's abdomen before his inevitable death. So, if you think the grind of daily life is like a modern day torture, spare a thought for those poor souls from the Middle Ages.